We have new Nobel Prize winner, Kurt.
For what?
For
Who you drone?
They get it for the mRNA vaccine. Kurt, this picture is worth 1,000 words. The Nobel Prize laureates do not trust their own innovation and instead rely on pseudoscience. Face type.
Those aren't N95.
They're getting an award for the vax, and they're wearing the masks as the.
Well, Jimmy,
wouldn't that mean they don't really believe in this?
No, I'll tell you what it tells me.
What does it tell you?
That this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated, or in other words, a pandemic. You know how that's what all pandemics. If there's a vaccine, then there should be no pandemic.
And there should be. Right. So the Nobel Prize is garbage.
What?
Just so you know, it was. Do you know why it was invented? So this guy Nobel, he made all his money with dynamite, killing people. So he invented dynamite. So they blowing the shit out of people in war, and so the news. I think his brother died. The story goes, I think his brother died, and the newspaper thought he died. And the headline was, guy who killed people in his life, merchant of death is what I think they called him. And he saw that and he was like, oh no, I don't want to be remembered like that.
Right.
And so that's when he invented the Nobel Prize to make up for all the murdering.
To get into heaven.
To get into heaven.
Wow, just like Jimmy Savile in the UK did all that charity to make up for the other stuff.
And so the Nobel Prize was over when they gave it to Kissinger. So remember the headline was, that's when satire died. When they gave the Nobel Peace Prize to Kissinger for the Vietnam War, the guy was responsible for it.
Well,
and the Cambodian bombing.
Sounds like a guy cleaning up his own mess.
So just to give you a little bit more, I don't have time for this. They gave the Nobel Prize to the guy who invented lobotomies. That's what that's about.
Well,
lobotomies.
Were they more peaceful or not?
Lobotomies. So now they give it goes to Caitlin Carrico and Drew Weissman for work on mRNA COVID-19 vaccines. And there they are getting their prize when they're wearing masks for the vaccine.
Hey guys, can you move it along? We've got a member of the Waffen-SS to give another.
So now I want to show you how they didn't really invent this, and that's a scam by the establishment. And I'm going to go back to Henry Kissinger. By the way, this is I got this from academic politics are so vicious precisely because the stakes are so small.
That's such a correct. I'd give him a prize for that.
He should get a prize for that.
For honesty.
That guy nailed it.
So the guy who invented the mRNA vaccine technology is friend of the show, Dr. Robert Malone. And by the way, the show that when he was on with us, we knew he explained everything about the vaccine and COVID and what a leaky vaccine means and why you can't vaccinate your way out of this, and that why if you get vaccinated you can still contract it and you can still transmit all that stuff. He explained everything, and he talked about targeted lockdowns and you're not supposed to. All that stuff. He explained everything. He explained ivermectin. He explained what the FDA was doing, how they're captured 70% of their budget. He explained the whole thing, and that's why you can't find this video on YouTube. But you've tried to put in Dr. Robert Malone, the Jimmy Dore Show. It doesn't come up on YouTube, but still it got 800,000 views. That's how popular this video is. But every time I want to go look for it, I can't find it. I have to ask Misha to help me. I have to go offline, get on go on dogpile.com to try to look it up. And that's how I found it. So anyway, this is the guy who did it. And he wrote, I got this from Midwestern Doctor's blog. But this is what Robert Malone talks. This is the story. I'm going to give you it very briefly. Throughout my career, I have had to deal with other academics who have asserted that they were the ones that first discovered and developed what I had clearly pioneered so long ago. They all profited greatly from this success. Success has many failures. Fathers, failure is a bastard. This was partly the consequence of the reduction to practice of the work for vaccine purposes having occurred at a small La Jolla biotech startup called Vical, and my having signed non-disclosure and employment agreements which constrained my ability to disclose what I had done there or to influence the subsequent tide of events in any way. Suffice to say, academic self-promotion, avarice, hubris, and greed are all are often well rewarded. And when pharmaceutical industry interests merge with academic competitiveness, then ethics gets to ride the back of the bus. Meanwhile, while I was a young, soft money academic, the CEO of Vicol, Dr. Vijay Samit, formerly of Merck, sent me a cease and desist letter threatening to sue me if I disclosed or used the discoveries which I had made while working for that
Disney.
firm.
That's how Disney did with Tim Burton for The Nightmare Before Christmas.
We
own it. You did it here. They took over the rights to it after he had left. They didn't want to do it. They're like, yeah. They all do this. Everybody does this. Then
along comes Dr. Katie Kakariko, University of Penn, later vice president of BioNTech, formerly of a Hungarian spy. And Drew Weissman, University of Penn, trained by Dr. Anthony Fauci. About a decade later, after my work in initial reduction to practice, who wrote a review paper in a high-profile academic journal discussing my ideas without citing my work.
Mm-hmm.
They tour widely promoting the logic and technology. This review then becomes the basis of a series of wiki pages promoting this pair and others as the original inventors. He comes right from Fauci, she comes right from BioNTech and a spy. Jill and I objected to my being written out of history, including on Wikipedia. Jill wrote up an account of the actual history of the inventions, complete with citations to and copies of the original invention disclosures, patents, data, etc., including the original patent filed by the Salk Institute, and then inexplicably dropped without notifying me.
Who would have the power to do that?
That's right. The summary was sent to many. Salk Institute, UCSD, a close colleague and former collaborator at the Karolinska, now a full professor who sat on the Nobel Prize selection committee. Dr. Robert Langer, who initially claimed ignorance of my role, but then conceded the facts, and many others.
What is he, Bob Lazar?
Letters were sent to Stat News, who refused to retract or alter their publications, promoting Carrico and Weissman's stolen valor claims. CNN, who did seem to edit, back off, and retract some of what they had been pushing, and the New York Times, which definitely edited their prior video and written essays to remove claims about Carrico and Weissman being the original source of these ideas. Carrico and Weissman received millions from the Lasker Award, often considered the American Nobel, and similar awards from the governments of Israel and Spain. But to the astonishment and disappointment of Nature magazine and U.S. corporate media, no Nobel Prize in medicine or chemistry was forthcoming. However, as we saw, that soon changed. At this point, it became clear that my role as the inventor of this technology was what gave my concerns about the safety of mRNA COVID-19 shots gravitas. This then became the reason for mainstream media to deny my role as inventor. So he was skeptical of the COVID-19 vax, which, by the way, is safe and effective, and it'll keep you out from getting super sick.
He did a great job.
He did a great job. He invented
hospital beds, Jimmy.
This hospital beds.
You want to clog up the hospital with your
I don't want to close it with
unvaccinated, worthless body?
And the vaccine keep you safe and out of the hospital and from getting sick. It's fantastic. But he was a critic of it, and that's why he says why they had to shut him up, because he actually did invent it, and that's stolen valor. So these people who just got this award wearing their masks,
their cloth masks
for inventing the vaccine. This is called propaganda. And you know, when they gave it to Barack Obama, before he ever did anything, Barack Obama used to have, every Tuesday, he would sign off on a checklist of people he wanted to kill.
Yeah.
Barack Obama did. He had a kill list. And then he even said, boy, who knew I would be so good at killing? He literally, that's a quote, direct quote from Barack Obama, with a peace prize and a kill list.
Listen, if all we had to do was check off a list, we'd all be good at killing. If that's all you had to do.
So I just think, first of all, this is hilarious. I hope this is the thumbnail.
Why the mess? There's a guy behind him in a mess. Is it required to show up?
There's a guy behind in the mess. There's
I mean, how thin a line is it becoming between this and an Eyes Wide Shut party?
Right. And
like more elaborate masks.
How much money does Pfizer give to the Nobel Foundation? I bet they do. I'll bet you any money that Pfizer and Merck. Oh, by the way, Merck and Pfizer, they're all suing each other over patents for the vax and stuff. Did you know that?
Oh, of course.
And Merck had to sue the government because they don't want to pay the government because the government gave them $10 billion to develop the vax, and they're supposed to pay money back to the guy, and they don't want to do it. Oh, it's
have you ever heard of
that's our tax dollars, by the way, paying them when they say $10 million.
Honestly, in any genre or any field, have you heard of any major innovation with the big, dick swinging CEO guy, and he was the guy, he didn't kind of steal it from some other guy?
I mean, that's the norm.
It's almost every story I've ever heard, going down to
I know
Batman, Bob Kane's Batman. He stole that from a guy. Mm-hmm. Stan Lee, they're all steal.
So I wanted to show you that the Nobel Prize is bullshit, 100%, and them wearing their masks as they get that is the chef's kiss to COVID and the bullshit establishment award giving. Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Tampa, Boca Raton, Orlando, Dallas, Houston, San Diego, Bloomington, Illinois, Indianapolis, and Levittown, New York. Wow, that's a lot of dates. See you there.